taking some further updates from the Middle East. We're now learning that some 137 activists who were detained by Israel for taking part in the global Summit Flotilla's aid initiative to Gaza have now arrived in Turkey after being deported from Israel. Now, according to reports, 36 Turkish nationals as well as citizens from the United States, United Arab Emirates, Italy, Kuwait, Switzerland and Jordan, among other countries, have landed at the Istanbul airport. Now, some of these activists have alleged that Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg was mistreated by the Israeli forces during her detention. The activists have alleged that they were not provided with clean food or water and that their medication and other belongings were confiscated. Meanwhile, the Israeli Foreign Ministry had earlier said that the detained activists were safe and in good health. Listen in to what some of the deported activists have had to say.
She dragged her very intensely, and they even put the Israeli flag on her face, and they even put Greta on a trolley. They treated her like animals.
She was treated terribly. You know, I mean, she was they draped her in an Israeli flag and they just pushed and pulled her wherever they wanted and for whatever propaganda they wanted. I was 3 people in front of her in line, and she came close to this private room and they just shoved her really aggressively and put her in the room, and then Ben Gvir arrives and goes into the room with her. And they were just, you know, it was awful, but they were trying to use her as propaganda for their optics, but she was just treated like a piece of trash, you know.
Still with us on the broadcast is Professor Rohan Gunaratna. Some allegations are now being leveled by the activists regarding mistreatment. What are the legal consequences for this? Do you think any state whose citizens have been part of the flotilla will move court against Israel?
The activists are very fortunate that they have been freed and they have arrived in Istanbul, in Turkey. What is important for the activists is not to again breach law, international law, by trying to enter a conflict zone. Gaza is a conflict zone, and they are very fortunate that Israel did not go beyond what they have done. Of course, if this flotilla went to Arab country, any other country in the Middle East, they would have been detained and kept in custody forever. So they are very fortunate that Israel has released all of them. And I think that they should spend their time more productively for peace and security. I was very disappointed that none of these activists in the flotilla spoke about the Hamas terrorist attack that caused this devastating war. And I was also very disappointed that none of them advocated for the release of hostage taking. I think that these activists should be educated step by step that hostage taking is criminalized, that it is an act of terrorism, act of crime, and they should spend their time more productively towards world peace and not be driven by the ideology of Hamas or by any other extreme organization. This war in Gaza was created by a terrorist incident, and everyone should ensure that peace is restored, stability is restored, and there is no more killing in the Middle East, either by terrorists or by governments.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking out time sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus to more developments. We're now learning that billionaire businessman Andrej Babis has won the parliamentary elections in the Czech Republic. Babis's populist ANO party has fallen short of an overall majority, and he stated that the party will seek to lead a one-party government and has called the results of the election as historic, despite the party earning under 35% of the vote in the lower house. Listen in to what he had to say.
A my určitě budeme jednat s SPD a s motoristy a budeme usilovat, jak jsme říkali, o jednobarevnou vládu, kterou by řídilo hnutí ANO. A střet zájmu, ano, samozřejmě, já jsem slíbil panu prezidentovi, když nastane ta chvíle, že za ním přijdu a ukážu mu to řešení, aby bylo v souladu s českými zákony a s evropskými zákony.
Pebis has also said that he would talk to two small parties, including one far-right party for support, as his own will lack an outright majority. His victory has raised the prospect of a Czech government that would reduce support for Ukraine. Now, speaking to his supporters, he has rejected accusations that his win would make the Czech Republic a less reliable European Union and NATO partner. ANO's deputy chairman, Karel Havlík, has also confirmed the party's commitment to EU and NATO membership. Listen in.
So definitely we are confirming that we will be the member of the European Union, of the NATO. It's for us the thin red line. And we are criticizing European Union, but on the other hand, we don't want to destroy European Union. We would like, let's say, the reform European Union. And NATO, of course, NATO is extremely important. We would like to strengthen the position of the NATO, including the United States of America.
Meanwhile, after losing the election, the current Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala has stated that he would continue to keep the Czech Republic a part of the West and he will not give up the fight against populism and extremism. Have a look.
Nevzdám boj o osud této země. Ať se nikdo netěší na to, že bych byl rezignovaný nebo unavený. Já jsem zvyklý na to celý svůj život mít třeba i menšinové názory, ale budu bojovat za to, aby tato země byla demokratická, svobodná, byla pevnou součástí Západu a budu za to bojovat i kvůli našim dětem a našim vnukům.
Shifting focus to what's taking place in Georgia, we're now learning that large-scale protests have erupted in Georgia during municipal elections, with thousands gathering in Tbilisi, accusing the ruling Georgian Dream Party of authoritarianism and leaning towards Russia. The demonstrations turned violent when some protesters tried to break into the presidential palace compound. Police has declared the rally as unlawful and responded with tear gas, pepper spray and water cannons. Officials say that more than 24 people, including police officials and demonstrators, were injured. The government insists that the elections were fair, claiming victory in every municipality. But with opposition leaders jailed and EU talks suspended, protesters now maintain that they will continue their fight for democracy and fresh elections. Listen in to what they had to say.
We are here for freedom of our country, for Euro integration, because we're the member of the Europe family. We're here for freedom of our political prisoners, and we demand Georgian Dream, so-called Georgian Dream, to leave us alone and go to their homeland, Russia.
That's expression of deep crisis, which is absolutely formed by our pro-Russian and authoritarian government, and that's what's happening now. And I think this protest will continue until these demands will be responded properly from our government. That's what's happening, and yes, that's absolutely democratic process which is happening in the streets, and it's absolutely non-democratic process which is happening in the institutions, in the parliaments, and in the electoral process, and anywhere, you know.
One of the main reasons why we've gathered here today is because we want to see that we're not alone in this, and we're trying to fight, well, now it's been a year, almost a year of non-stop protest every day.
Shifting focus to East Asia, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has stated that Pyongyang has allocated strategic assets to respond to the buildup of US military forces in South Korea and has vowed to develop additional military measures. Kim has stated that in direct proportion to the buildup of US forces in South Korea, the strategic interest in the region has also increased. And therefore, North Korea has accordingly allocated special assets to key targets of interest. He has stated that he believes that North Korea's enemies should be concerned about the direction their security environment is evolving in. He has added that North Korea will undoubtedly develop additional military measures in order to prepare and respond to the buildup of US forces without elaborating any further. North Korea has been tightening military ties with Russia and has been supporting Russian President Vladimir Putin's war with Ukraine by sending troops and artillery. Kim has also been deepening ties with China and recently traveled to Beijing to attend a military parade marking the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War alongside Chinese leader Xi Jinping. He has and also highlighted that North Korea will not in fact abandon its nuclearization quest in response to recent military drills that were held between South Korea, United States and Japan.